Yo. We're live right now. Podcast number 7.
What's up, everyone? What's up? Let me tell you guys, we had a crazy weekend last weekend.
Oh,
wow.
Jesus.
We had 3 shows in a row.
Count them.
It was
1, 2, 3. Arizona, LA, to Mexico.
It was absolutely insane. We barely made it to 2 of our shows. And it wasn't even our fault.
Anywhere.
It wasn't our fault. The first show was in Arizona, and our flight got delayed. So we arrived just in the nick of time, or so we thought. And, well, you want to tell them what happened, like, while we were waiting, Mysterio, while we had the flight delay in Arizona?
I'd rather not talk about it, but it's the big elephant in the room, so... Yeah, I was coming out of the bathroom, and 3 TSA gentlemen who I hadn't seen earlier when I was cleared by another group, they basically saw me, they go like this, say, take it off. I begin walking towards them, explaining, hey, how you doing, sir? And I guess combination of the mask and me walking towards them, making a voice, they tackled me. Not the first time it happened. Hopefully the last. Who am I kidding? Probably not. The thing is, as some of you know, I have a clearance. When I have to go like 3 hours early. They take me in a room, I have a stamp. I'm licensed to do this. It's an entertainment license that I have, that I'm actually cleared to do this. So then people always say to me, then how come you still have these issues? The best way to describe it is, when you get into the club, you get into a green room, the security guard, he lets you in. You're cleared through that one guy, right? Then later in the night, the shift changes. A new guy sees you back there. You don't have the proper wristband. He doesn't know that you were cleared through this other guy. And then boom, get the fuck out the green room. It's the same thing as in the club world. Just because I have the clearance and one group of TSA agents are aware, unfortunately, not everybody in the airport is made abreast of the situation, which you would think they would be, but they're not. And sometimes I run into this issue, and Arizona was one of those times.
So you're officially licensed to entertain, right, Mysterio? Is that what the license is?
James Bond of Hype Man. I'm licensed to entertain. This isn't a game, but
That's pretty cool that you have a license that allows you to wear your face, or what some people would call a mask, in public places,
it would be
including
even
an
cooler
airport.
if it worked. No. I totally understand it. I'm not bitter. And as an American, I'm actually happy when I get tackled. I'm like, good.
They're doing their job.
Their jobs. Like, if I was a terrorist running around in a Rorschach mask with bombs in my shoes, it's a pretty goddamn good thing that they check that out. Correct?
Absolutely.
So I'm not bitter. I'm not butthurt. It's understandable.
It's always interesting when we travel to different countries.
It comes with the territory. But I'll be honest, man. I've been thinking, and me and you have been talking. We're obviously going to investigate better ways to do this. And if that means us leaving at separate times, whatever that may be, we're obviously thinking about it, because this isn't the first time that happened. And some of our friends hit us up and they had really serious conversations with us, like with me anyway. They're like, Mysterio, like, we get it. It's dope that you do this, but you gotta start putting your safety first, man.
Well, we've been doing this for 6 years, and I think the problem lies when we arrive to said destinations to play our shows. The issue becomes promoters picking us up at different times. It becomes kind of problematic, right? Scheduling wise, because for them it's a lot easier to just pick both of us up at the same time.
Sure.
But if we arrive at different times, then it's kind of a nuisance to the promoters and the organizers of whatever event that's booking us.
Sure.
So like I totally feel them on that point.
Of course.
I mean, what are you gonna do, right?
Not an issue that they ever have. They're like, we pick up Marshmallow all the time. It's not an issue they usually have. Most DJs, I don't gotta break it down.
Yeah, I wonder if
most DJs are not Marshmallow is not traveling like this.
Is he? Well, I don't know that for a fact. Is that true? Like, does he conceal his identity when he arrives at an airport and a promoter picks him up, or a private car service? I don't know that.
What do you think, SAD?
I don't know that.
What do you think?
I think he's probably just unmasked at that point. He's not concealing
It's not
his
something
identity.
I'd even talk about if I felt like it was a big, well-kept secret. But to be honest, it isn't. You know, and the guy's doing fine. That's not his thing.
Well, I give him some credit, because when I met him last year at Ultra backstage with Will Smith and all these other people, he was wearing it the entire time. And
Really?
I mean, obviously there was a green room area that was sectioned off. It had curtains. I mean, obviously, I'm sure
So
when
even
Will
still-
Smith went in there, he took it off. But in the hallway,
So Will Smith was not in there with him in the marshmallow mask.
I can't say that for sure because I wasn't in the room with them. But I'm just gonna say he goes out of his way to at least. And we were in a ship it was a yacht that was in Ultra, the festival itself.
Right.
So there was no one in there but inside people. I was in there because obviously, you know, I'm inside in the sense that I know his agent and I know people that work with him in his camp. But even with me there, he took precautionary measures to not reveal himself to me. I'm not saying I was the only one. I'm sure there were other people that were in the crew on the ship that he didn't want to reveal himself to. But the fact that he took those went through those extra measures, I kind of give him props for that. At least.
Of course. No, I respect that. I mean, obviously.
I mean, you take it to a whole nother level, Mysterio.
I'm a different animal, and I don't expect people to do that. Like, it's a little absurd.
Absurd is the word.
Sure.
That's the perfect word.
I'm an
to describe
absurd
it.
guy. What can I say?
But going back to our story, so yeah, we were supposed to play in Tucson, Arizona, and
I do want to make it clear that me being detained at the airport had nothing to do with me being late or missing the show.
right. So we ended up arriving literally
Together.
right on the dot when we were supposed to play. So when we were talking to the promoters, they were like, "Hey guys, you can still make it. The venue's only 10 minutes away." So the promoter sent for an Uber because obviously they couldn't pick us up because they were at the event itself already. So they ordered us an Uber, but Mysterio's bag arrived late, which is funny because a lot of people were assuming that it was because he was detained, but that had nothing to do with it. We still had an hour to spare after he got detained and questioned and they released him. We were still waiting in the airport for an hour after that. So it had nothing to do with that. Mysterio's bag arrived late. It didn't arrive with our flight. So Mysterio had to stay behind because his bag was arriving on another flight that was coming 45 minutes later. So I had to go to the venue by myself in the Uber while Mysterio stayed in the airport waiting for his bag. I arrived to the venue, to a packed house. There were people waving barong flags and all these people were super hyped. And I only get to play 4 songs because there was like literally 10 minutes left in the set. So I arrive, I play these songs,
Dirty Audio was coming
and then
on.
Dirty Audio had to go on because he was headlining, and then I got off and Mysterio arrived to the venue like 30 minutes later. So we ended up
What's going on? Is
literally not playing a set,
playing?
which really sucked, and we were really bummed. So if any of the fans are listening from Arizona, like we wholeheartedly apologize. It was cool that I think it was like 2 or 3 fans stayed afterwards, and
Shout out Shizona. She drove all the way down from, I forget what area in Arizona, but she drove all the way down to Tucson just to see us. 5 hours, 6-hour drive. Do you remember where she drove from?
I don't remember. I don't even think she was in Arizona. I think she was coming from California, somewhere in California. But she was awesome enough to stay
think
after
so.
the show.
I'm pretty sure she was driving from an area in Arizona, because the next day we passed by that area.
Okay, well, wherever she came from, she drove 6 hours, and we rewarded her because we were so bummed that we didn't get to play a full set. We rewarded her with a Fight Club flag, which these are exclusive flags that we printed only to hand out at our shows. But we gave her the first one ever, and we felt that it was just appropriate given the circumstances. But anyways,
Shazona from Arizona.
Shout outs to her. But let's continue with the story
But
because
we left out a very important part. The reason these planes were delayed was because it was super cold in Arizona. For Arizona, it hadn't snowed yet, but it was really cold, and I believe the pilot made an announcement like the jet engine fluid or something was frozen. The thing is, by New York standards, it was not cold at all.
Right, enter the segue. So the next day we're leaving from Tucson to play our next show at Avalon in Los Angeles, and guess what? There's a snowstorm. And like Mysterio just said, they're ill-equipped when it comes to snowstorms in Arizona because they're not used to that kind of weather.
I want you guys to sit on that for a second, though. There was a snowstorm in Arizona.
Right. By New York standards, it wouldn't be a major thing. It would be just like another winter day.
That was a Tuesday night.
Right.
Tuesday afternoon.
But then again, nowadays they close down the schools for storms like that. But anyways, regardless, we were unable to fly out of Tucson to our show in Los Angeles. Now, keep in mind, it's only like an hour flight from Tucson to Los Angeles, if I'm not mistaken, an hour and a half at most. So the clock was ticking, and we were talking to our tour manager, and we were asking him, what do we do? And he was like, listen, guys, I think the best thing to do is for y'all to like rent a car and just drive from Tucson to Los Angeles. If you leave now, you'll make it. It was a 7-hour drive, and at the time, it was 1:30 in the afternoon. So realistically, even with traffic, all things considered, we would have arrived somewhere around the vicinity of 8:30 p.m. So we rent this car, and I think it was around 2.5 hours into the drive itself, the fucking car just breaks down in the middle of the highway. Now, we're lucky to be alive recording this podcast because it literally shut off in the middle of the highway, and we were both like super just perplexed. We were like, what the hell's going on? Because it's one of these, it was obviously a 2018 model vehicle, right? One of the, I think it was a Nissan, right?
It was a smart car.
It was one of those smart cars, and it just shut down. It didn't even beep. It didn't even give us a signal. It just shut down in the middle of the highway.
We were not used to that. I never drove a smart car before. With a regular car, it beeps or flashes, gas tank empty, none of that.
And now there's two issues here. One, are you all right, Mysterio? You seem like
I'm dying.
Yeah.
Slow death.
There's two issues at hand here. One, the gas tank should have been full when we rented the vehicle. It was not. It was like a quarter full. So that was already problem number one.
It said it would be full on the contract.
When we got the contract, it said the gas tank was full. So luckily there was a Ranger that was driving by, and the Ranger had us put the car in neutral and helped us push the vehicle onto the side of the road. Now, we were on the phone trying to contact the rental company, and yeah, I'm going to call them out. Screw you, Avis Rent-A-Car, because you guys had us waiting on the phone for nearly 2.5 hours on the side of the road. We were supposed to get help, right? We were supposed to get like a specific tow truck company.
We paid extra money to get the help.
We got this special insurance package, whatever.
Special insurance package.
Yeah, special insurance my ass. So we're on the side of the road, and we're like left scratching our heads. Like, what the hell are we going to do? We have to make our show. We're not going to make it at this point because we've already wasted 2 hours driving to Phoenix. At this point, we're in Phoenix, Arizona, by the way. For those of you following this convoluted story.
If you're following Arizona, if you're following right now, we were in Phoenix, Arizona.
We're in Phoenix,
scratching
Arizona.
our dickheads.
We're in Phoenix, Arizona, on the side of the road. We don't know what to do. We call our tour manager, Akshay, and he was like, guys, solution. This guy's like the MacGyver of tour managers. This guy has all the answers, and he's just like the fucking best. And he tells us, guys,
MVP.
You're in Phoenix, just figure out a way to get the vehicle to the nearest Avis Rent-A-Car and get your asses on a flight from Phoenix to Los Angeles. It's the only way you're going to make your show. I said, well, what do we do? He said, don't worry about it. I'll call the airline and I'll change your flights. Somehow he miraculously just changed the flights. And that was the mission. We had to figure out how to get the hell out of there. Another ranger drove by, said, "You guys are out of gas." And we were like, "Oh shit, we had no idea." He fills up the car with some gasoline.
Enough to get us to the nearest gas station.
We fill it up.
Fill her up, get to the airport, go talk to Avis. Because Avis is going to be rational, reasonable people, right? Give us some form of a refund and an apology. Right?
Oh yeah, of course. That's what I was expecting. At least some sort of partial refund. This guy's a total dickwad, and he's just like super smug and arrogant, going, "Oh, do you guys not know how to drive a car? Did you not notice that the tank was almost on empty?" I'm like, "No, dickhead, because one, it's your policy to fill up the car with, when you give it to a customer, it should be filled up with a complete tank of gasoline. It shouldn't be a quarter full. Like, that's not how you guys should be running your business." Right. Or it's in the contract, by the way. Anyways, we're having this debate with this guy. He's refusing to give us our money back. So I'm like, "Hey, listen, man, just give us something." And he's like, "Oh, I'll give you guys $70. It's the most I can do."
You weren't gonna take it. I told you. I said, "You better take the 70."
You know what I was gonna do? I was gonna go behind that desk and smack the living shit out of that guy. That's what.
Let's talk about this guy for a second. Like, I was laughing because I was like, "Damn, dude, you're not even pretending to be a good employee. You are reveling in the fact that you and Avis completely suck." This was the customer. I'm like, this is the customer service that you send us? Usually when I've dealt with dickheads in customer service, they at least come out trying to solve the problem. Like, "Hello, sir. What seems to be the issue?" And then gradually things get heated. You start fighting. This guy came out the gate smirking, ready to fight. Like, "You're the two dickheads who don't know how to check a gas tank? Sucks to be you." He came out the gate ready to just bitch us out.
Yeah, he literally said that, I think, at one point.
Yeah, I complimented him, though. You remember? I'm like, "Dude, I gotta give it to you. You're an asshole, and you don't claim to be anything else.
Oh, yeah.
Kudos to you."
Relentless.
Relentless.
But anyways.
Incredible.
We leave Avis, and then we're in the airport. Our tour manager changed our flights, and we have 3 hours to get to Los Angeles. Now, from Phoenix to LA, it's like a 45-minute flight, I believe. We're waiting. Flight delay number 1. Flight delay number 2. Flight delay number 3. 3 flight delays. Now we have an hour and a half to make it to Los Angeles, to make it to our show at Avalon on time. Luckily, by the 3rd flight delay, they decide to board. We get on that plane, we hit up our tour manager, and we say, "Dude, the second we land, we have to get off the plane and bolt straight to your car and drive straight to Avalon." And that's exactly what we did. We landed in Los Angeles, LAX. We got out, we ran, and we were doing this on Instagram too, to show people that we weren't like messing around. We ran into our tour manager's car, and our tour manager, God bless him, drove like 90 to 100 miles per hour on the freeway in Los Angeles. We arrived at Avalon with 2 minutes to spare. We ran in, and the hospitality girl, Carly, she was happy to see us because she was following our story on Instagram. She walked us in. We didn't have any time to even drink water or anything. We just went straight to the stage, plugged in our flash drives, and we started the show. And the funniest thing about all this is that we're playing, right? And I'm noticing like, oh, okay, all right, we've gone over our time. Where's the headliner? Where's Sesko? Because he was the headliner. And Sesko ironically showed up late, 20 minutes late. And he was already in the area. I thought that was super funny because I'm like, all right, well, whatever.
It's like, shit, we could have been late.
Technically, we could have been late, yeah. But whatever, we made it work, and it was a great show, man. It's a great show. We played with Wolf Logic and Alien Boy, 2 up-and-coming producers. We've mentioned Alien Boy in our previous podcast. But it was fun, man. It was real fun. We got to see our friends, Alvaro, Rawtech, Danny, Danny Martin, Bacanero came through. Our homie Bacanero. We have this unreleased song with him and Chewy. It's a ballet funk track. And he performed it live at Avalon. And it was amazing, man. Incredible. We are so happy that we made it on time. And then, what did we do after that, Mysterio? We went back to our hotel for 2 hours. We did what we had to do. We showered, changed. Couldn't even power nap. We had to go straight back to LAX on a flight to Mexico. And then we arrived in Mexico. We arrived in Ciudad de Mexico, Mexico City. And went straight to our hotel. And we were like, all right, what do we do now? Do we pass out? Try to get a nap in? Or, like, do we go rehearse? Because we had to rehearse with the other guy we were playing with, whose name is Bros. And it was a back-to-back set. So he had an itinerary mapped out. He was like, yo, as soon as you guys land, we have to do a rehearsal with the dancers and just kind of go over our set. And we literally could not even do that because there was so much traffic in the area. It didn't even make sense. So we tried to nap, but we couldn't because we were waiting on all these people that were coming, like the dancers, Lisa and Janelli. Bacanero was also arriving. Our tour manager was arriving at a different time. So we had to wait for everyone to arrive. And we didn't get to sleep. So we literally did not sleep for 2 days. Like, we took power naps on the planes, but it was super hectic. Super hectic. It was probably the most hectic weekend of our careers. And I don't know how these guys do it. I don't know how Steve Aoki can do 3 shows in 1 day. I remember when I used to tour with Skrillex, he did 306 shows in 1 year. I don't know how these guys do it, man. I don't know how they do it. It's crazy. It's insane. It's insane. But we made it through. We powered through it. We played EDC Mexico with Bros, and it was awesome, man. It was another great show, and we had an amazing time.
It was a great festival. Speaking of festivals, man, we should talk a little bit about Porter Robinson's new festival, Skyfest.
Yeah, Second Sky Music
Second
Festival.
Skyfest.
Yeah, Second Sky.
Second Sky Music Festival. It's Porter Robinson's brand new festival he's putting on. I wish we could get on that, man. I mean, that shit sounds crazy.
Yeah, it says Golden Voice Presents and Porter Robinson and Golden Voice Present. So I believe Porter is just a curator, so he's creating the lineup for the festival. It's the first ever, and so far he's announced Kashmir Cat, Nina Las Vegas, Marion. The full lineup's not out yet, but he's like revealing who's on the festival lineup every day on Instagram.
Yeah,
with some awesome
cryptic
artwork.
kind of thing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty dope. I mean, we were just talking about it, and the reason we want to mention it is because I can see this becoming an ongoing trend, no? With other producers and festival organizers.
But in order for it to work, you need a guy like Porter seems to be someone who's actually focused, and everything you're seeing with the festival seems kind of his brainchild, and he's seeing it through, right? Otherwise, I mean, you could end up with like Ja Rule type festival situations where a DJ thinks, oh, it'd be cool for me to get my name behind a festival, and you're not one of those guys that's, you know, like Gary Richards or someone who's going to meticulously make sure everything's run right and it gets in the wrong hands. It could be really sloppy. If every DJ thinks they can just throw a festival, like, it could end up being something really sloppy. If you do things like this, hopefully it's handled with the same grace that Porter is handling this one. This really seems to be being done right, but it's not easy. I'm not saying that every DJ producer really knows what it takes to throw festivals, because we throw parties, and we know how much that goes into it. I can
very time consuming.
Only imagine.
Yeah. I can imagine how stressful it can be too. I'm sure Porter's not handling the production aspects to some degree.
Sure,
he might be
handling set times. You know, you got DJ. I want to play this time. I want to play.
Yeah.
I don't want to be going on the same time as him or all that.
But
minutia.
It's interesting because it makes sense, right, for festival organizers or promoters or investors who want to invest in a new festival.
I'm very surprised it hasn't happened sooner.
That's true. I mean, I think it has. I think Excision was one of the first. I don't want to say the first. I hate when I say that and then people correct me. But Excision has had his Lost
No
Lands.
one's ever the first of anything. Everything's been done.
It's been done. Excision has the Lost Lands festival. I think that's the festival that he started. Right. It's called Lost Lands, and it's just like a bass music festival. And he enlists some of the craziest bass producers that he knows, and he invites them to play this festival. And it's pretty dope. I don't think Excision's. I don't know who was the first recently in contemporary electronic music to do it, but there are other DJs who have done this before. But Porter it caught my attention in particular because he's doing something very different, where it's like an eclectic lineup, but still very tastemaker. You know, the producers that he's selecting are very tastemaker in a sense. So, I mean, listen, if I were an organizer and I had this money and I have this desire to put on a festival, I would want to work with another credible producer to essentially organize a lineup and put that together, because artists are more inclined to say yes to someone like Porter than they would some relatively unknown promoter or organizer, right? And I'm sure Porter can probably get them like on the cheap, because it's a homie thing, right? It's like a homie favorite. It's like, oh, Porter's asking me? Yeah, man, I want to play that for sure. But if it's like some unknown guy hitting you up or some unknown festival, you're going to want to charge them full rate, because you're going to be like, I don't know if this thing's going to flop or not. But Porter's putting his neck out on the line, because if it does flop, and I'm sure it won't. I'm not trying to put that out there into the universe, but I'm saying if it were to hypothetically flop, Porter's name is attached to it. So it is a big gamble for him, right? Mysterio, like branding wise.
Oh yeah, but Porter he's no stranger to gambles. I mean, he's a guy who put out the World's EP when everybody was waiting for his next set of bangers. He goes by the beat of his own drummer, and takes gambles, and so far everything's worked out for him. But absolutely, any DJs you see there on Second Skyfest are gonna be taking a massive pay cut to be playing their boys' festival. There's no way they're getting their usual fees.
I'm sure it's a first-time festival. Like, I'm sure that the budget isn't that crazy. I could be wrong. I don't know who's investing into the festival itself, but yeah, definitely, people are definitely taking some pay cuts. But at the end of the day, it's for the sake of a greater cause, right? Because if the festival takes off and the launch is incredible, there will be more to follow, and then obviously the budgets will be higher, and the revenue stream will be higher. So, it makes sense. It makes sense if you really think about it, for sure.
But it makes sense if they would implore some of those open format DJs, the people we know, the Wildlifes, DJ Steve Nieves, those people that go into the clubs, they play nightly, they can play everything and anything, and also within the realm of hip hop. These kind of guys that A-trak is talking about on his latest set of tweets. It would be cool if some of those guys were invited to play more festivals and given more love in general from promoters, just to go, on a little, not to get on a tirade, but I've been thinking about this lately because A-trak has been talking about this a lot. How those kind of DJs, the guys that really just know how to DJ, they don't necessarily know how to produce. They're known for DJing. Those guys you don't see on these festivals. You don't see them getting the kind of looks and getting promoters to get behind them the way other acts do. And it's kind of sad to me, because these guys I'm thinking of, I mentioned some names you may know, you may not know. These are the real DJs. A-trak is talking about this because he comes from a world where it mattered a lot more to be a DJ. I mean...
Yeah, he mentioned something about being at Beyond the Music, which was like a retreat that was created by DJ City and DJ Vice, and he was saying that he feels like a lot of open format DJs lack infrastructure. And he goes on to mention in a series of tweets, he goes on to mention that during the EDM bubble burst, which happened not so long ago, he noticed that a lot of DJs that are and were open format DJs were kind of left just scrambling, trying to figure out what to do, because obviously when the EDM boom happened, all these agencies and managers were picking up all these EDM producers and quote unquote DJs. But a lot of these guys were never DJs in the first place, which is why it's interesting, because A-trak kind of did it in reverse. A-trak was a DMC world champion, like at the age of 14, and he started as, you know, an open format DJ. He was predominantly a hip hop DJ. He toured with Kanye West. He has all these great accolades to his name. And then when the EDM stuff started coming up here in the States, he hopped on the wave, but he did it in his own style, right? In a very tastemaker way. I mean, he even created Duck Sauce with Armand Van Helden, and they were doing like new disco stuff. You know, they weren't jumping on the bandwagon. It's not like A-trak was doing dubstep when dubstep was hot, or you know, Moombahton. I mean, I know the Fool's Gold, they always advocated and pushed for those kind of sounds through Fool's Gold, the label, but they stayed very centered and focused on specific genres, tastemaker genres. Like I said, like new disco and hip hop. Like they were the ones that like really helped Danny Brown's career at the time. I even believe, I don't quote me on this, guys, but I believe that Day and Night, the Kid Cudi record, was originally released on Fool's Gold.
Oh, I'm quoting you on that.
You can look that up, but I believe so. I'm like 75% sure that's the case.
I think you're right.
But
you're right.
The reason I bring it up is because A-trak, even in his routines, I remember in like 2012, circa 2013, he was doing these cool routines where he was incorporating like Daft Punk tracks with hip hop. So he was always ahead of the curve, you know, and he was always like incorporating his background in hip hop and open format style with quote unquote EDM. And now he's just noticing that there's this vacancy, because now a lot of the DJs and producers from the quote unquote EDM era are now being asked to play these residencies in Las Vegas and all these bottle service clubs, and they're being asked to play open format sets. And I've even heard instances and situations where these DJs are getting yanked off the booth, and I'm talking about big guys like Calvin Harris. Like Calvin Harris had, there was a moment where Calvin Harris was literally taken off the decks by a promoter. I don't recall where it was. I think it might have been Vegas. I don't know. I don't know if it was Vegas, but it was somewhere really bougie and upscale.
That shouldn't be happening.
But that's what A-trak is referring to. He's saying it doesn't need to happen, because okay, yeah, the EDM bubble burst, but there's still like thousands of open format DJs just waiting to now surface. Now it's their time, because now they're in demand. Now the clubs want to go back to open format. So these DJs, they never stop doing it.
The time for these guys, and again, we have close friends that do this and super talented. And again, I agree with A-trak. These are the real DJs, and this should be their time. And what's even more amazing to me is that A-trak is the one kind of taking on this crusade, right? Because he doesn't need to be doing this. He doesn't fall in that category anymore. Even if that's where he started, he gets booked on a celebrity status now. My guy has his Vegas residency. He wouldn't be put in this category. So the fact that he's choosing to take his time to take on that crusade really says a lot about A-trak. I'm very pleasantly surprised by this latest series of tweets.
Yeah, he doesn't have to go out of his way and, you know, become the almighty defender of open format DJs, but
absolutely not. It's not even his fight.
He can stay in his own lane if he really wants to.
But it's not even a situation where you can get mad at the guy and be like, stay in your lane, bro, because he has nothing to gain.
That's what I'm saying.
By going to bat for these people.
Yeah, he's literally going out of his way to defend open format DJs.
The only thing I can think that he has stake in, and it's not a bad thing, he probably has a lot of friends from coming up. And, you know, in that world, he has a lot of friends that didn't go on to produce, didn't go on to get a celeb name, so they're not a hot ticket, but he knows that these guys are super talented. He knows, just like I said, I keep mentioning Wildlife, the Puerto Rican Freak, two guys that, you know, heavily, we love these guys. These guys are holding it down in New York City every week, during the week, on the weekends. These guys are great, been doing it their whole lives. These are the kind of guys, man, that really know the ropes, and it would be good to see them finally get their shine. But no, what do you see? I guarantee you that the people A-trak were talking about, just like my boys, do not get booked nearly as much or get paid nearly as much as DJ Paulie D. And why? Paulie D was on Jersey Shore, celebrity DJs. Paris fucking Hilton was DJing. Everybody now gets a little clout. They start DJing. I remember 50 Cent was DJing at one point, I believe. Like Vegas is hiring people, celebrities, to go out there and DJ, and it is a sad thing, because it's already, you already have kids coming out at a really young age, becoming easier and easier to become a DJ. Beat matching and all this shit's done for you. It's already not rocket science, and now on top of that hurdle, going against the vintage people, the originals, the old school people, another strike against them now is you gotta be celebrity, you gotta have clout. And that really, A-trak's 100% right. In order for our scene not to continue to get oversaturated and already implode, we need to take the attention off of clout and really put it back, focus back on the DJ skills. The DJ skills. And I'm not saying everybody's got a scratch like him, or Mehdi, or Craze, but I'm saying skill, knowing how to get a crowd moving, right? Knowing how to turn a fucking
reading
club
a crowd
into
is
a house
so important.
party. How to read a fucking crowd, right? Not go up there and play.
Stereo, you and I both experienced this firsthand. Some of these openers just go up and they play whatever they want to play. Like they have their record box sets pretty much organized in a way where there is no there are no unpredictable variables. It's just like, no, this is what I'm gonna play, and if they don't like it, well, that's on them. And
those
that's their
guys always
mentality.
make me laugh, because they come there with an agenda and they're like, no, I don't care, I'm playing this. Like, imagine being that arrogant.
Or when they say, oh yeah, no, but they booked me for a reason. They should know what kind of music I'm gonna play.
Yeah, you know what I say to those
Doesn't
guys? I
make
give them a
any
nice
sense.
pat in the back. Yeah, you keep thinking that, buddy. Really think that they actually knew your catalog when they booked you. And I'm in agreement. It's sad that they don't, but you also need to know the world you live in. You know, you're gonna sit and cry about everything. There's a million things you can complain and cry about, but at a certain point, I'm not saying you gotta just bend over and take everything, but in our industry, you gotta know that. You gotta get past the fact that majority of promoters and majority of owners or whoever is doing your booking, a majority of the time, not even your booking agent is booking you in the right places. You know what I'm saying? Not even your booking agent knows your fucking
These
catalog.
people are trying to make
Do not
money.
expect the owners or the promoters or anyone to know or care about your catalog. They care about one thing. People fucking being happy enough to continue buying booze, to showing up to their clubs. The money. As long as the money is
But
rolling
that's
through.
where I disagree. Okay, I agree to a certain extent with what you're saying, but they're also looking at it from a clout perspective. So if they see that someone has 100,000 Instagram followers, they're going based off that. They're booking you based off that, which is sad. Because if nowadays, in order to get booked, if your EPK is popping, and EPK is an electronic press kit, that's more important to a promoter than a good mix on SoundCloud. Like, they don't even bother to listen to your mixes. And that's sad, because that should be the most important thing. That should be at the forefront. If you're getting booked to rock a crowd at a club and you don't know what these guys are playing in their sets, and you're a promoter booking them, and you're dropping 5 to 10 G's on these DJs, and that's a modest number, by the way, but that's really sad to me. And that's where that's you get what I'm saying, right, Mysterio? Because you're saying that, yeah, it comes down for promoters, and it's always been about clout. But I guess that's what A-trak's saying. He's trying to say, like, that needs to change, and there also needs to be a viable option for producers to get booked. For example, I think producers should be booked for festivals, right? That makes sense because you're going to an electronic music festival to listen to your favorite producers. And they're going to go out there and they're going to DJ and they're going to play, hopefully, a majority of their catalog. But if you're going to a club, you no longer need to be booking these producers. You can book open format DJs because if that's what you're looking for, then that's what you should be booking, essentially. It doesn't make sense to still book an EDM producer to play a club just because they have more followers than, like you said, a local open format DJ. That makes absolutely no sense. Zero sense. It's like nonsensical.
It makes zero sense. It's also, you're booking both acts in the wrong places. Because then you get the DJs that want to play their own stuff or producing their own stuff being asked to play open format. That's what you're looking for. Go for the people that do that don't have their own music, that they're primed to go open format, In a perfect world, man, yes, in a perfect world, they would know who they were booking and everything would make a lot more sense. In a perfect world, we deal with it too. I mean, we've had mainly positive experiences in Asia, but I remember one of the promoters said we were going too hard. He didn't care about the fact that the crowd was completely with it. We wouldn't have continued to go hard if we were losing the crowd, but we were at the crowd. They wanted to get turned up. But the promoter who brought us out had an issue with it and was complaining. And about that same week, we saw Jim and Niels complaining on Twitter about the same thing.
Jim and Niels being Yellow Claw.
Yellow Claw, about the same thing. And they were like, we're fucking Yellow Claw. Of course we're going to play hard.
Yeah, it's weird, man. We're living in a weird time, but
it is.
I'm glad that A-trak is pointing these things out because it is it's an important
thing. It is good, and I hope
about.
his words actually don't fall on deaf ears and people change. I wouldn't count on it, but it's better to talk about it than not.
Agreed. But that's all the time we have for today, guys. We want to leave you with a track coming out on our label Fight Free by an LA producer named Zemex, and it's called Diamonds. Mysterio hasn't even heard this yet, but I'm going to play it. This track is really innovative. It's a trap.
Yo, my dude named himself after Robert Zemeckis, director of Back to the Future and Forrest Gump.
No, it's just Zemex, not Zemeckis.
It's Zemeckis. I next time I see Zemex, I'm going to ask him.
Oh, so you officially just changed his name on the podcast. It's Zemeckis now.
I know my dude loves Zemeckis. Robert Zemeckis.
Shout-outs to him, and shout-outs to everyone listening. We love you guys. Thank you so much. Next podcast, we might have a special guest. We're going to start switching things up on our format for the podcast. So
we're going to switch things up, and we're also going to talk about personal issues like, do you shave your balls or do you keep a bush?
All right, that's all the time we have for today, guys. Thank you so much.
Is it a seasonal thing?
Here's the track, Diamonds.
And then in the summer.
Fight Club.